Here today with Coach James Reyes of the Lumberton Raiders. How you doing today, Coach?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I am doing fabulous. Like we just talked about, really busy time of year for all high school athletics. Multiple sports just ended, heading toward their playoffs, hitting their peak right now. Um, but a school the size of Lumberton, you have a lot of kids that are playing sport. A lot of your football players are playing sports right now. So just kind of give us an idea of how things are going with your spring sports.
Things are going well. We all our team sports have made the playoffs this year, which is pretty much, I think, the first time in school history that that's happened. So we still have baseball in the playoffs. They play Thursday, Friday, Saturday. This week we have a number of football kids that play baseball, and then we had a kid. We just finished up track, but we have a kid that advanced in the quarter mile to go to the state meet. So all our girls and our boys sports have done a really good job this year making the playoffs. And, it gives us a good platform for next year to move forward and try to get some more goals intact.
Right. So smaller school don't necessarily have a formal spring football, but I'm sure you're going to be working on some things in the athletics periods, and you definitely know who's about to graduate, that who's going to be back. So kind of walk us through your football team in terms of that, as far as who are you losing, who might be taking those taking on those roles, and who's returning.
Yeah, we're losing we're losing a couple wide receivers this next year, and some offensive linemen and our pretty much our whole secondary. But we had quite a few kids that played an important role for us this past year, that are going to step in and do us a great job. Our trigger puller's back, Lucas Powell, threw for 46 touchdowns this past year. Had a great year for us. He'll be a 3-year starter, 17-7 as a starter. And we got, Trey Kirsch is coming back. Will be our leading receiver returning. Um, but we had 3 or 4 other guys that played quite a bit of time at receiver, and so we're not going to take a step back there. We're going to actually take a step forward, and we're excited about where we are at receiver. Running back wise, Jaden Ward's 3-year starter will be back, and then we had a freshman that played for us last year. He'll be a sophomore. He'll do a good job for us as well. We really focused this year on getting stronger and faster in the weight room with our offensive line and being more physical. And so we're excited about where we are right now with our offensive line. We got to make sure that we're really good up front, because that's where it always starts. And we've really focused hard on our front five going into the spring, and we're really pleased with where we're at right now. Defensively, we got our strong front seven pretty much back. We lost, nose guard that went to Henderson State. We lost an outside linebacker and inside backer, but we got Brock Jackson who's coming back, who's he plays defensive line for us, is committed to Baylor. I've got another defensive end that's back. He's going to be a 3-year starter as well. He's picked up a couple offers of late. And most of our backers are back, and we're excited about where we are with them. We did 7-on-7 last night. Secondary looked good. We'll be young in the secondary, but they're all knowledgeable of the game, and we're excited about where we're at that point, right, as well.
Now, last year you went 11-2, three rounds deep into the playoffs. Those are all tied school records. In fact, it's only been done twice in school history that you've won double digits in a season or been that deep in the playoff. Talk a little bit about how that plays out in the community and in terms of participation. I mean, you're doing things the school hasn't done before. How does that come across the community and affect your participation?
The community's been great. For me, it all starts at the top with our school board and our superintendent, and then down to the principals. But the community is great. Anytime you're winning football games or winning in athletics as a whole, people start coming out to see what's going on. And we started we started off season last year with Hampshire Finette and got out of that game with a good Hampshire Finette team. We also went 2 or 3 rounds deep last year. Coach Wagner does a great job over there. And then, we took a step back into a good Houston St. Thomas team. They beat us up pretty good. And then we ran off 10 straight to get to 11-1. And then we matched up against a really good Coach Reardon Chapel Hill team. Coach Reardon does a great job over there and has a good football team, got a bunch of young boys coming back. So the kids just believed in what we were doing, and our off season speaks for itself. And we did a great job in track last year. All my football kids run track, won a lot of track meets, and I believe track translated over onto to the football field and helped us out in the long run. And we're not looking for a step back this next year. We're looking to improve on what we did this past year.
Very good. So the last time we've talked, we were both kind of melting there on the field in Lufkin. So that probably was the biggest issue facing us at the time. But let's take a step back and take a big picture view. What would you say is the biggest challenge facing Texas high school athletics right now?
Oh man, where I'm at right now, it's been a pretty good transition into being the AD and head football coach. Our kids do a great job, and we don't have a whole lot of, everybody's got problems, but we don't have a whole lot of problems, and these kids do what we ask them to do. I think the biggest problem with our young people right now is social media. Although it's a great platform, for us and for kids, but it also can be a huge detriment as well. And so, I make sure that when we're going through the season that the kids aren't looking to all the hoop and holler about, what's going on with Lumberton football and looking at the polls and all that stuff, that we just got to focus on ourselves and go game to game and win in that way and win the day is what we talk about all the time. And, our motto is full throttle. It's on our helmets, and we talk about it all the time that anything we do in every aspect of life, we want to go full throttle, and we want to do it on the football field as well in life. So the kids do a great job with that. I'm blessed to have a bunch of great kids.
All right, now let's go from big to small. Let's try to learn a little bit more about James Reyes. What would you say your number one guilty pleasure is?
Oh man, probably probably chocolate. We that's probably the number one thing that kills me, man. Sweets. It's been a thing that I try to stay away from as much as I can.
And you talked about doing some 7-on-7. So
Yes.
let's a little insight into how you are able to work in 7-on-7 and incorporate some of those concepts into 11-man football.
Yeah, we're a little different than a lot of people in 7-on-7. I'm not trying to go out there and win a bunch of 7-on-7 games. We're going to do what we do offensively. Same thing we do on Friday night. We're not going to run a bunch of stuff that we don't run. We go out there and run our offense, run our defense, and if it translates to touchdowns in 7-on-7, then great. If we get some stops, great. But we're going to get better at Lumberton football, and we're going to get better at what we're going to do on Thursday and Friday night. We're not trying to go to, the SQT state qualifiers and go win it all and do a bunch of stuff that we're not going to do on Friday night. And that's a little different Lumberton than what some people might do out there at the SQTs and 7-on-7. So, it's great. It's great for the kids. The kids enjoy it. But again, we're going to go run our offense and our defense. And if it translates over to wins in 7-on-7, great. Because it's, at the end of the day, you're going 11-on-11, running the football on the 3-yard line instead of throwing it a lot of times. And so, last night we had a good night. Kids played well, and we'll move it on to the next week and keep moving forward in the spring.
Yeah, and one of the most important to me, one of the most important things about 7-on-7 or any activity is just the kids being together. The kids spending time together, learning each other, developing those relationships. So going into the season, offensively and defensively, who would you say your leaders on both sides of the ball are going to be?
On the offensive side of the ball, it's got to be Lucas Powell. I mean, the trigger puller. He's, you want a quarterback to be a leader anyway, because when he steps in the huddle, he's got to be able to control the huddle and control the offense. And so, he's coming into the year, with 82 touchdowns total in his career, which is unbelievable. He had 46 touchdowns passing this past year, and he had 4 rushing, so he had 50 total touchdowns. But he believes in himself. He's a competitor. I'll go to bat with him and go to war with him any day of the week. And as long as he's upright, we're gonna be winning some football games. Defensively, we got multiple kids that we feel like can step up for us and be a leader. I talked about Brock Jackson a little bit. Avery Yarbrough's an outside linebacker, does a great job for us. And then Easton Stapleton at linebacker, and then Graydon Spencer's the other defensive end that I talked about a little bit. All of those 4, combined to our front 7. So that's why we feel like we're gonna be pretty good defensively.
Okay, and last question. So Lumberton is kind of you want to call it suburban Beaumont or outskirts of the Golden Triangle, or what are you going to call it? That that while the Golden Triangle itself's population isn't growing, Lumberton is kind of bucks that trend. Your population is growing there, so just you kind of found yourself in a position where you're right on the edge as far as being 5A, 4A. Kind of talk about the population growth, how that impacts the community, and how it impacts the school.
Yeah, we're a lot of people that don't know Lumberton. We're all rooftops. I mean, there is no industry here in town. Very few industry here in town, if any. And we got restaurants and things like that, but most of the industries in Beaumont, Port Arthur, Port Neches, Nederland, all down there where all the plants are and things like that. But it is growing out here. A lot of people will again on social media talk about Lumberton's moving up next year, and that, which is not true. It's far from the truth. We're sitting actually lower than we were a year ago. We're probably 1197 right now. We turned in 1219. But it is growing. But our it's not translating to students in our schools right now. We are building quite a few houses out on 421 right down from the school, but that project is kind of stalled a little bit, and it'll pick up pace. And once those houses start getting built, we'll see an influx of kids. But my hope is, for sure I know the next realignment will stay down, and I'm hoping the next one, and then after that, we might go up. But, as y'all know, the numbers rise in the UIL as well. And so, we're already 100 and it's 1,300 last time. I think, we're 103 from it. If it raises at all, we'll be 133, 140 from it. So we're in good shape. And for all our sports, it's a good thing that we stay down until we get some extra hands in here. And then, once we got to move up, then we'll attack that beast at that time.
All right. Well, Coach, thank you very much for your time today. Best of luck as you wrap up your spring sports, and best of luck as you move forward to the 2023 season.
Hey, Tony, I appreciate you having me, and talk to you soon.
LoneStarGridiron.com. Access the complete history of Texas high school football, over 100 years of information, win-loss records, coaching histories, individual stats, records, and more. Lone Star Gridiron, the authority on Texas high school football.